Welcome to another episode of Now You See Me, the show where we redefine beauty from the inside out. I am not in the studio, obviously. I am in Greece. This is not technically a vacation. It is a time where I came in to celebrate the marriage of a friend. Because why? It's her turn. And I wanted to be here during her celebration. So I didn't consider it, a vacation. But knowing me, I did get out a little bit. I decided just to take a ride on the hop on, hop off bus and just think and reflect a little bit. Right now, though, I am in the stadium near the Acropolis. Pretty cool. But this year's had its highs, it's had its lows of dealing with the responsibility of doing the show and so forth and getting into that particular routine, dealing with the everyday responsibilities that I have on a normal basis. And it got a little overwhelming. And at times it was overwhelming, and at times it was the most joyous thing that I could possibly do was to create and be totally me while I was doing it. I spent a lot of time wanting good hair. It was termed good hair. And so what we did back in the day, we would just press and comb. I had grease in one hand and I was holding my ear from the straightening comb in the other because I wanted good hair. So if I'm not receiving what God says about me, then that means that my body is out of line. My body is out of sync, out of phase, so to speak. See, we have this wonderful design DNA. Each one of us individually have something set up where God says, make this person like this. But the DNA is set up in such a way that it has to be translated, it has to be communicated, so every other part of the cell knows what to do. So in the communication, sometimes something may be lost in translation. Now, it's not God's doing, but sometimes when we're so out of sync in the spirit, our body reacts and the communication is not there. And something told my cells to my body, it's okay. It's okay to attack yourself. You know, according to the word, God knows his plans for us. Plans of good and not of evil, that we would have an expected end. Because of the word, over the years, I become more empowered. Because the more you believe the word, the more empowered that you become. And when you're empowered by the word, you know you can trust the word and you know you can trust God. So with that empowerment and with that trust comes us asking ourselves the hard questions. For me to be beautiful from the inside out is an inside thing first. The mind has to be renewed. The mind has to be refocused to move towards Christ, to be centered toward the things of God. I was raised in church, but that particular character trait, those character traits, I didn't see. I saw it on Sunday. But if something else that was ungodly was more convenient, then that's what I saw and that's what I learned to do. So as I'm going through the things, going through life period, and rededicated my life to Christ, that's one of the main things that he started to develop in me. There was a revelation about what needed to be changed. And that was a manifestation eventually of things that had changed. When I think about Naomi, I think about there's some times in my life where I didn't let go of stress, where I was grieving and didn't know I was grieving, where I was symptomatic of all of it and didn't know that that's what what was happening, that I was still in trauma, that I was still in stress mode. Anytime that you have issues with depression, and sometimes you have issues with anxiety, I remember these things. And anytime I had a thought that I did not cast down, all it did was grow legs. God is our hope, but when we keep the thoughts in our minds that are not like him, that are against what his word says, those thoughts grow legs. Toxic thoughts, anything that says something different than God says must be cast down. And then I have people in my life right now, they push. But they push with love. They push because they want the best for me. And I've learned over the years to lean, I guess, to those particular people that are sincere, people whose motives are sincere, and there's no hidden agenda. If you recall the first couple of episodes, I was kind of telling you all about me and how everything transpired from my wonderfully bald head to me opening up about some things that I was dealing with, and me opening up about just trying to encourage, trying to get a revelation, trying to be a blessing to those who are listening to me. I know I've learned quite a bit. God allows things to happen for a reason, so that he can be glorified. I know as we went along, I met some fabulous people who were monumental in just elevating my thought process about being bald without them even knowing it. They were just courageous, and their stories just spoke volumes to me. And this is a thing, y'all. This is a thing. I have never encountered so many bald women before, and all of them have stories that are both similar and different. How they approaching everything is totally different, and it's a blessing. There's a lot going on in the hearts of women, and sometimes we need a sounding board. We need somebody to represent the balding community, or the bald by choice community. Fillinginthegaptelevision was my first interview, and she was phenomenal, and she really put me at ease, and it was a great conversation. I loved it, and I love her. Oh, Summaluv, funny, down to earth, kind, just overall wonderful woman. Oh, Miss Kelly, Miss KC Babs. Miss Kelly is a force, y'all. If y'all are in Texas, anywhere near her, please go see her. She is a force in the kingdom. Oh, Dr. Vanessa. Just all around phenomenal Dr. Vanessa. It was a pleasure. She was my first in-person interview. Juanita, my sister, my friend, just the epitome of elegance. Oh, Bianca was just so wise beyond her years, beautiful and wise. I loved it. And Lanique, I didn't even understand the whole process of her type of her business, and I was so glad that everybody got a chance to hear and get some information. Oh, Miss Tracy is just down to earth and transparent. I love her. I don't know about you, but see, I have a junk drawer, and if there's some items or something that I have that I don't know quite what to do with at the time, I'll just throw them in there. The thing about that is when it's time to clean that junk drawer, it takes forever, because you're having to sort through what was quality, what's not quality, what should I throw away, what should I keep. And that's kind of how it is when you're dealing with emotions. We throw our emotions in the junk drawer, and then when it's time for us to be in position where we have to sort through everything, we are at a loss. We are at our wits' end. We don't know where to start, where to begin, what to throw away, what to keep. And I had to sort through my junk drawer this year. I had to sort through my junk drawer this season. And there's a lot that went through that I had to go through in terms of just basically facing it. That was a big thing. Because see, when you are dealing with any kind of emotion that you don't want to deal with, or any kind of issue that you don't want to deal with, it is not going to be healed. It is not going to be fixed at all. And so when we're dealing with any kind of unwanted emotion, we have to first acknowledge it. We have to first own it. If we don't own it, we'll never be healed. And even before that, we have to know that it's there. We have to be willing to dig up the dirt to find out what's going on. What lie have we believed all of our lives that causes us not to be aware or not to be functioning as we should in a particular area? But once you acknowledge everything, then it's time for healing. And yes, you use the word, but sometimes you need Jesus and therapy. Sometimes you need Jesus and the coach. Sometimes you need Jesus and the counselor to help you sort through it. Don't get caught up in setbacks, because there are going to be some. There are going to be some things that trigger you. There's going to be some things that make you look like you've gone backwards, and you have not gone backwards. Not at all. Because see, when triggers happen, and I'll just talk about myself. I'll say, didn't I get over that? Wasn't I done with that already? But that's not always the case in some people's lives. And so when I go through those setbacks, I pause. I pause a whole lot quicker than I used to. Why am I thinking this way? Did I just have a conniption fit about nothing? What default setting do I have to still change out, reprogram, reevaluate? What do I have to keep doing? What do I still rather need to do? That's what the setbacks are for. The setbacks help you. They help you a lot. So don't be moved by your setback. And see, eventually, all the things that you've been through will allow you to help somebody else. When I go through all those shows and all the things that I've talked about, a lot of them I do very well at now. A lot of them, God wants me to watch. Be mindful of this. I've told you what to do in these situations. Be mindful of it, that it does not come back upon you again. But it's going to always bring out what's wrong, and we have to face that. When you put your voice out there, there are some people that are going to grab a hold of it. There are some people that are not, but we can't really worry about them, can we? We have an opportunity to do kingdom business now. You have an opportunity to do kingdom business now. I don't know what that looks like for you, but I can't wait to hear your voice. He has so much for us to do. He has so much for us to say. Our voices are supposed to go into all the parts of the earth. One part of the earth is going to be lacking if we're too afraid to believe God. And that's the bottom line of it. Even now, I had to get to a point where my fear, my anxiety, my doubt, my low self-esteem in certain areas, especially this one, had to be all overridden by the fact that God called me to do it. God wanted me to do it. He wants me to do it for him. So my emotions got to take a back seat. Wrong mindsets puts you in a position where you're stagnant. Wrong mindsets and not understanding who I was in God made me just plateau in a lot of areas in my life. So yes, I can tell you some hindrances. I can tell you those hindrances because I went through those hindrances. I experienced those hindrances in my own life. We have to face that feeling. We have to apply that word. The word works. The beautiful place that we need to get to is to be on one accord with God. Not only in what we're doing, but where we're going. We can't see eye to eye unless we're walking in agreement. And that means verbally, what's in our hearts, what's in our minds, all of it, the whole 9 yards. So when we are in position right now, when we are in position to help somebody, that's where we move heavily into purpose. That thing that you're dealing with, you've done, and that you've gotten through or worked through pain and grief and suffering, you come out shining. And people look at you and say, oh, you just shining. There's an inner glow. There's an inner glow because you're walking more along the lines of how God wants you to walk. Yeah, you still have issues. Oh, guys, people got issues. But the point is, you know how to work through those issues, and you know how to get somebody else to help somebody else to get through those issues as well. It's awesome. The thing, though, that part about the healing, it's not an overnight thing. It's not going to be an overnight thing, so you need to have patience with yourself. I said one time that it takes not 21 days, it takes 3 cycles of 21 days. And so when we are dealing with changing our default setting, changing issues with our minds and how our minds work and how our brains are programmed, when we're changing all of those settings that cause us not to respond in a positive way, when we're dealing with all those, it's gonna take time. It is going to take time. You know, when you have surgery, you go through months, weeks, well, some things weeks, but some things actually months before your body heals. When a woman has a baby, she's birthed a child, it takes at least 6 weeks to 2 months for the body to heal. I mean, really, really heal. Not only just surgery or anything like that, but just basically anything where you feel cut. You've been cut in the spirit. You've been cut in the flesh. You've been cut emotionally. You've been cut spiritually. Sometimes it takes time. I just need you to be patient with yourself. I need you to love on yourself while these things are happening. Thing about it, though, conclusions on top of the hop on, hop off bus. I like my life. And I like me in my life. And I want you to feel the same about yours. Oh, about that wedding. The purpose of me coming here in the first place. One major thing I learned this year is obedience. I was pretty decent at it. I wouldn't say the best before, but this time I am much, much better at doing things even when I don't feel like doing it. There's a lot of stuff that I talked about. I didn't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about that, Lord. But I got to bring that up. Why? Because one, I was still dealing with some embarrassment, still dealing with some shame in some certain areas. And no, I didn't want to talk about it. I most certainly didn't want to talk about it on a TV show. But it's about obedience. And it's about people that I helped because I was obedient. And it's about people that received because they were feeling the same way I was feeling about a lot of stuff. The thing is about boldness and feeling like doing rather what you need to do regardless of how it looks. The thing is obedience no matter what you think is going to happen. What if this happens and what if that happens? That's been in the back of my head on a lot of shows, but it's about obedience. And it ended up turning out okay. But I'll take nothing for this journey. Even the difficult shows, or at least the shows that were difficult for me to talk about, with subjects that were difficult for me to talk about. Not everything was easy, and it didn't look easy, and it wasn't easy. There were days when I was tired, still trying to tape a show because I had to get it in on time. There were days when I was sleepy and tongue-tied. I did a show on perfectionism and put in a couple of them bloopers while I'm pausing and I can't get my thoughts together. But you press through. And I don't know how people took some of the stuff that I put out. You know, like I said, some people hear your voice, some people don't. Some people were meant to hear your voice, some people were not. But that's okay. That's totally all right. So we're going to believe God for increase. We're going to believe God that next season's going to be even greater. And we're going to believe God that as He elevates, as He moves me to new levels, that I am willing and obedient, and that I look at His ability to do these things and not Jeanette's ability. But like God said in Zechariah 4:6, it's not going to be by might nor by power, but it's going to be by your spirit, says the Lord. That's a wrap for this year. Everybody, thank you so much. I do not take it lightly that you chose to be on this journey with me, that you chose to listen, that you chose to walk this walk. I don't take it lightly at all. Matter of fact, I'm honored. Thank you. You know, someone called me a midwife. I think I'll keep that title. Because it is my goal to move people from stagnation to their destination. And in the process, we'll be removing hindrances, removing faulty foundations, things that have held you up for way too long. I invite you to go to my website, www.transparencyconsulting.com, and sign up for a free 15-minute consultation. Also available to you is the book, Out of Line, Repositioning Your Walk with God. I am looking forward to hearing from you. God bless.